A very good evening to you and welcome to Biz1st in Focus. This evening my guest is a very interesting character. He joined the Foreign Service in the Philippines in the year 1992. He served in Dubai, Hungary as well as Palau before being assigned to Dhaka, overlooking operations in Mali and Sri Lanka. Now who is he? He is the ambassador of Dhaka for the Philippines, Mr. Vicente Bandilio. A very good evening, sir, and welcome to Biz1st in Focus.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Nice to have you on board, Mr. Ambassador. Tell us a little bit about your stint. You started off in the year 1992,
Yes.
and now serving as ambassador to Dhaka, representing your country, the Philippines. How has it been so far for you as an individual?
I started, I'm an academic person. I came from the academia. I was teaching for some time, and then somebody invited me to take the exams. You take an exam to become a diplomat in the Philippines. And I didn't expect to join the Foreign Service. But when I passed the exams, I thought, this is a good chance for me to do something else, something new. And so in 1992, I joined the service. Then 2.5 years later, I was assigned abroad, then in Hamburg for 7 years. I spent 7 years there. Then I went home to the Philippines. And after that, I was sent out again to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, then to Palau, then here.
This is your first posting as ambassador.
Yes.
How does it feel to hold and represent your country?
Oh, it's for career people like us, it's the culmination of a dream. We work from being third secretary and all the way up, and after roughly 20, 25, 30 years, you become ambassador. So I'm proud of what I have achieved, and also I am very proud to represent the country abroad and to be able to speak about the Philippines.
Dhaka, Maldives, Colombo, the three most difficult countries to work with in terms of the political culture in all three countries. How challenging has your role been for the last 2.5 years, Mr. Ambassador?
It's not going to exaggerate my difficulties, but it's been very challenging. When I was assigned to Dhaka in January 2014, if you recall, there was the new government, and it was after a very hotly debated issue about how there was a change of leadership in Dhaka. And also at that time, there was also a new leadership in the Maldives. And also here in your country, I presented my credentials in May 2014 to the previous president. Then when I came back the next time for your National Day, you had a new president. So I've been in the midst of all these changes, and it's bewildering, but it's also very challenging and fulfilling to be able to cope with all these changes in relation.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Biz1st in Focus. This evening my guest is a very interesting character. He joined the Foreign Service in the Philippines in the year 1992. He served in Dubai, Hungary as well as Palau before being assigned to Dhaka, overlooking operations in Mali and Sri Lanka. Now who is he? He is the ambassador of Dhaka for the Philippines, Mr. Vicente Bandilio. A very good evening, sir, and welcome to Biz1st in Focus.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Nice to have you on board, Mr. Ambassador. Tell us a little bit about your stint. You started off in the year 1992,
Yes.
and now serving as ambassador to Dhaka, representing your country, the Philippines. How has it been so far for you as an individual?
I started, I'm an academic person. I came from the academia. I was teaching for some time, and then somebody invited me to take the exams. You take an exam to become a diplomat in the Philippines. And I didn't expect to join the Foreign Service. But when I passed the exams, I thought, this is a good chance for me to do something else, something new. And so in 1992, I joined the service. Then 2.5 years later, I was assigned abroad, then in Hamburg for 7 years. I spent 7 years there. Then I went home to the Philippines. And after that, I was sent out again to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, then to Palau, then here.
This is your first posting as ambassador.
Yes.
How does it feel to hold and represent your country?
Oh, it's for career people like us. It's the culmination of a dream. You know, we work from being third secretary and all the way up, and after roughly 20, 25, 30 years, you become ambassador. So I'm proud of what I have achieved, and also I am very proud to represent the country abroad and to be able to speak about the Philippines.
Dhaka, Maldives, Colombo, the three most difficult countries to work with in terms of the political culture in all three countries. How challenging has your role been for the last 2.5 years, Mr. Ambassador?
I don't want to exaggerate my difficulties, but it's been very challenging. You know, when I was assigned to Dhaka in January 2014, if you recall, there was the new government, and it was after a very hotly debated issue about how there was a change of leadership in Dhaka. And also, at that time, there was also a new leadership in the Maldives. And also here in your country, I presented my credentials in May 2014 to the previous president. Then when I came back the next time for your National Day, you had a new president. So I've been in the midst of all these changes, and it's bewildering, but it's also very challenging and fulfilling to be able to cope with all these changes in relation to the Philippines.
Your country is quite active in the region, has been very active in the region as far as the continent is concerned. How do you all intend to contribute to the development of other nations across the world, Mr. Ambassador? Basically, our relationship with the rest of the world is based bilaterally in the Philippines, and also the Philippines as an active member of ASEAN. You know, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, made up of 10 countries around the area, has been very active in dealing with the rest of the world. And we represent our region in a very active way, and we usually take on the rest of the world together. You see that the ASEAN is, as you may know, a very cohesive regional organization, and we always speak through ASEAN. Mr. Ambassador, you said your times were very challenging, in particular with regard to the three governments that we were talking about, Dhaka, Maldives, as well as Sri Lanka. 2.5 years ago, you presented your credentials to former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Now there is a new government under Maithripala Sirisena. What are the differences you see in governance in terms of these two individuals?
I didn't have long enough time to observe the governance of the previous president, but since the last 2 years that the new president has been around, I could see, and I agree with the reflections of the rest of the world, that there's really a lot of bright prospects for Sri Lanka, and I can see that. And in fact, the involvement of the business people who went to the Philippines last year, and I could see that there's so much in terms of promise that Sri Lanka. And it's very interesting because, in a sense, there's a lot of parallel between Sri Lanka and the Philippines, and we could see that in this regard, we can work together, and perhaps with better synergy, we can develop together.
Mr. Ambassador, with regard to the change that took place in Sri Lanka on the 8th of January last year, now your country is going through some sort of transformation as well. You have a president-elect who will be taking oaths on the 30th of June amidst 500 guests from across the world. How do you see the comparisons in terms of leading a country, moving towards a transformation? Where do you see the Philippines in the next few years?
I can see that the achievements of the present administration will be carried even further. There could be some difference in the way, but it's very clear that the incoming president has his heart in the right place. He could see the priorities, what should be addressed first and all that. And I think after a little, getting used to the office, he will be well on the way of leading the country further.
Your president, Mr. Rodrigo Duterte, who is now the president-elect, was the mayor of your country as well, took a very hardline stand against many issues. Now you have the president, the mayor back then, now being the president of the country. For you as a diplomat, for you as an individual who hails from an academic background, do you think that is the way forward for a country like Philippines?
We need a strong leader. How it is going to be done, we'll have to wait and see. Most observers actually look at it this way, that all of this bluster was something like campaign rhetoric to get the interest of people. But he hit the right buttons, like for instance his stance on criminality, on the drug problem. There has been a lot of issues about human rights, but the bottom line is that he's going to do something, and it is something that is for the good of the people. And I'm sure that that rings true with everybody's desire to be part of a transformed society.
Terrorism, guerrilla warfare is now wreaking havoc in your country, especially and particularly after the killing of Abu Sayyaf, a Canadian national in your country by a military group. What lessons can you learn from a country like Sri Lanka, which has ended and eradicated terrorism?
We really have a lot to learn from your country and how it was being carried out. But of course, it took some time, almost 3 decades of it. But in the Philippines, actually, this Abu Sayyaf, it is not basically a terrorist. It is more of a bandit, group of bandits they're actually quite small. They didn't even represent the group of Muslim brothers who wish to establish before a separate country. No, they are almost like as you can see, they're asking for ransom for a big amount of money to release these people. So we consider it as a terrorist organization, but it is not. There is no such thing like taking over the country. I think that's too big for them. It's not really something like that they're after. And it's a splinter group, as we call it, from what was supposed to be the mainstream opposition or separatists, as you might put the word. But they are actually a kind of isolated from. Not all of our Muslim brothers support them. Indeed, they're just a very small group.
Killing of a Canadian national, foreign national, puts a very big strain on a country like the Philippines in terms of international relations. The Canadian Prime Minister had openly criticized the killing of the Canadian national in question. What sort of foreign relations is the Philippines looking at in the next few years or so?
We expect actually the incoming president to be able to take our efforts to eradicate these kinds of people a step further. He, I think, would be better, would have kind of the necessary background how to do it, because he comes from the south. The incoming president is, the mayor of Davao City, where, by the way, in a nearby island, that was where this Canadian group was abducted. And then Mr. Duterte is very familiar with opposition in the Philippines, with rebel groups. In fact, he knows some of them personally, the leaders. And it is very highly possible that he can eradicate this problem.
Mr. Ambassador, with regard to the future of your country, right now, tourism is doing quite well in your country, and your country is a success story in the region in terms of tourism. What lessons can Sri Lanka learn from the Philippines?
Well, first of all, I can say that you can do just as well, because you have a lot to offer, and many of the same things actually from the Philippines. We had we did it in kind of gradually. Actually, we did not increase our tourism numbers dramatically. It is slow. And in the first place, we have many Filipinos abroad, and they have been quite helpful in spreading. In fact, many of the people who go to the Philippines are those who learn the Philippines through the Filipinos. As you know, we have 10 million Filipinos working abroad, and they are actually perhaps more effective ambassadors than I am in terms of showing the people that the Philippines is a very good place to visit. And also, we have developed a tourism board which is very active, and I'm sure that Sri Lanka will be able to increase also the tourists. Although I understand that most of the tourists here are from Europe and from the West. In the Philippines, we have many tourists from the region, from South Korea, Japan, China, and just neighboring. Of course, we have many Westerners also.
You are the 39th largest economy in the world, Mr. Ambassador, Philippines. What can Sri Lanka gain from your country in terms of trade and commerce?
We have many areas of that we can cooperate. Like, for instance, we're quite strong in BPO, in IT, and we have also very good workers, especially in the areas of hospitality, in hotel and restaurant management, in also in the medical services. Our nurses are famous all over the world. So I was talking with my consul here, and we were trying to develop more exchanges along these areas.
Where do you see your country in the next few years, Mr. Ambassador? You all were under the Spanish for nearly 300 years, gained independence 118 years ago. Next few years, where do you see your country heading in terms of economically, tourism, trade relations, diplomatic ties, almost all the spheres that we are talking about right now? Yes. Where do you see your country in the next 5 to 6 years?
Well, you were mentioning us to be the 39th largest economy. HSBC actually made a prediction a few years ago that by 2050, we will be the 16th largest economy. Well, I wish I could be as optimistic as that, but certainly in the next few years, we will go up from 39, probably 30 or even much higher. And I'm talking about the economy in general, and also in terms of equitable distribution. Because right now, as with many other developing countries, it's not that simple for development to trickle down. And by the time, especially with our incoming president, who is very familiar with people down below, I can see that this economic progress will start to trickle down to the people in the bottom.
Mr. Ambassador, do you see Sri Lanka as a hub for investments?
Oh, yes. Yes, I think in terms of geographic location, you're so, as they always say, you're in the center of the world. So I think that Sri Lanka will grow, especially now with the whole world actually being very positive about your country. And I am also very sure that just like in the Philippines, I have the same kind of optimism when it comes to Sri Lanka.
What sort of support can your country give Sri Lanka at the UN Human Rights Council sessions, at the UN General Assembly? What sort of support can Sri Lanka expect from a country like the Philippines in the near future?
Actually, as in fact mentioned last night by our chief guest during our celebration, the Philippines has been very supportive of Sri Lanka in terms of the issue of human rights, and that's also one issue where the Philippines has actually been very active in Geneva. Our representation there always takes care of the human rights issues, and I think that Sri Lanka can expect support from the Philippines in this regard.
In the next few years, do you think Sri Lanka will be dragging its feet to the finishing line as far as this government is concerned, or will we be running, or will we be taking a slow walk in the next few years, Mr. Ambassador, in your opinion?
I think it might not be as in a sprint of a 100-meter dash, but certainly it will not be dragging, it will not be a slow walk, but it will be quite a brisk walk, if at the least a brisk walk or a run.
Where do you see both countries, Philippines and Sri Lanka, in the next few years in terms of our relations, Mr. Ambassador? Do you think that trade ties will increase between both nations in the future? How do you envisage the future for these two countries bilaterally?
Oh, I'm very positive that we are in the right track in developing and making our countries even closer. I'm not only talking of trade and investment or tourism, even in terms of people-to-people relation. I think we will get closer as the years go by.
Where do you see both countries in terms of diplomatic ties, in terms of exchanging lessons about war, about defeating terrorism? We spoke about your country having guerrilla groups now in operation. Do you see any defense ties taking place between both nations in the future in terms of learning lessons?
Yes, I think we have more to learn from you, I think, in this regard than you from us. And we are looking up to Sri Lanka and when it comes to defense capabilities and in terms of your the way you defend your territory. And right now there are developing exchanges also not only in defense but even in terms of foreign policy. We have actually a lot of exchanges among diplomats, and just recently we received an invitation from your country for training of junior diplomats, and I think that is the best way to you start, because these junior diplomats will later on become ambassadors, and so the connections they do when they are younger will remain with them. And I'm very positive that in the case of Sri Lanka and the Philippines, we will be, as I said earlier, much closer in all these areas, defense, foreign policy, and also, last but not least, about our coping with natural disasters. You know, I would like to extend my sympathies about the victims of the latest cyclone. And you very well know that 3 years ago we had a devastating typhoon in the Philippines. And in terms of disaster relief operations, we have a lot to learn from each other.
Disaster risk reduction, Mr. Ambassador, plays a vital role these days as far as media is concerned. Your country, as you said before, went through havoc or went through disaster 3 years ago following the typhoon that went across your country. What lessons have you all learned since then about disaster risk reduction and relief operations?
Actually, we've learned a lot. It was actually, the thing is, we were prepared, but not prepared enough, you see. So, in other words, the magnitude of what happened in Typhoon Haiyan, which also was followed by an earthquake around the same place, has made us more and more conscious about this. And as shown by natural disasters which followed, not as intense as Haiyan, but there were several other typhoons that followed, because we normally have 20 typhoons every year. But the destruction and fatalities have been very, very minimal. We have learned a lot from that, and that we are also thankful for the rest of the world, also from Sri Lanka, for the relief that was afforded to us. We have actually kind of codified the way we deal with all these disasters.
Mr. Ambassador, let's talk a little bit about you. Before joining the Foreign Service in 1992, what were your interests? What do you think you will be in a few years? In 2016, before joining the Foreign Service, where do you see yourself?
Actually, I don't want to brag, but actually I am more famous in the Philippines as a poet and not as a diplomat. Before I joined the service, I was an established national poet. I write poetry, and I still write now. And then when I go back, no one minds me as an ambassador. They know me as a poet. And so I see myself to be probably becoming more active, writing more books when I retire. I only have 6 more years as an ambassador, so after that I'll go back to my old passion of writing.
So this is your last posting as
No, I have one more posting after this, yes.
Where would that be, Mr. Ambassador?
We would never know, you know, in the Foreign Service, unless you really want to go to a place, you have to wait for a long time. But me, I'm like a soldier. If they send me somewhere, I always go.
Like a soldier, you were initially a poet, then a diplomat, again you want to go to poetry. Mr. Ambassador, what is your message for the future prospects in the world, the students, the young blood? How must they follow their dreams?
For me, yes, somebody said this before, you follow your heart. But it's easy to say that, but there's a fundamental truth to that. If you do what you want to do, you'll be a happy person. And if you are fulfilled as a person, you can share your sense of fulfillment with others. And if you are naturally kind, I always say that we should love one another, despite our differences. The Philippines is a pluralistic society with all kinds of people, but so many islands, but we are kept together because we believe in one thing. We believe in being together, being hospitable, being kind to one another. I think these are very simple virtues that I think all the world, all humanity should share in.
I am going to see Mr. Vicente Vivencio Bandilio as a poet and an ambassador in 3.5 years. Is that right?
Well, I'm also interested in farming. When I retire, I'll have a little farm, and I want to be in touch with the soil. I love keeping my hands
occupied and busy.
Yeah, yes, and near the earth. Actually, it's a way of it's a kind of a metaphor for being human. You are not up there floating, but you have your feet rooted on the ground.
Mr. Ambassador, what is your message for the people here in Sri Lanka in terms of moving forward? It's 6 years following the end of the conflict. What is the message you have for the government and the people?
Yes, so what I can say is that reconciliation is the key. People should get together and people should go beyond their differences. It's a matter of, as I say, you conceive of yourself as part of a whole, of one nation. And we can't expect everybody will agree with each other, but there are fundamental agreements that have to be there. And we should learn to forgive. I think forgiveness is a basic requirement for moving forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for joining us this evening. Nice to have you on board, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you.
Now an ambassador, tomorrow a poet, and then a farmer. The future for Mr. Vicente Vivencio Bandilio is being a poet. Thank you very much for joining us this evening on Biz1st in Focus. The lesson that I learned is reconciliation is important, and no matter what happens, follow your heart. Take care and have a pleasant evening.